Hello. So this is like day 5 of my examination of the manosphere. It'll make you do a crazy laugh. That's all I'm saying. And this whole alpha male mentality, I don't quite get it. I'm trying to find out the origins of where it comes from because nothing is independent of itself in this world. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. I don't know if men were watching Game of Thrones too much, because I didn't watch Game of Thrones much, but I remember Khaleesi, I think her name is, and whoever the dude was that played her rapist, you know, was her rapist. And so this seemed like a kind of alpha male, like, I'm going to dominate you. If you don't give me sex, then you don't deserve protection. Like, these are the mentalities I'm hearing from this group of people, and it's it shouldn't be funny, but it kind of is, because I'm just like, what in the world would make you think that any woman would be attracted to this? I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. Again, before I came to Christ, I probably would have entertained it for a little bit. But I think after a certain time, I probably would have been like, you know what? This isn't for me. Because I was dating a man who, I don't think he was an alpha male, but he was trying to pretend like he was. And so I think he was trying to take on a lot of the personality traits of one, I guess. And so, I think after the 3rd month, I was just like, this is not attractive. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. I just got done going back and forth with this man on some video, and number 1, you don't listen. Number 2, you don't care to listen because you're the alpha male. You're in charge. I don't listen to you. You listen to me. Number 3, all you care about is your physical appearance, your body shape, that of others, which means you're shallow and you're vain. There's nothing attractive about that. Not for me, at least, because I've come out of vanity, and I don't want a man to bring me back into vanity at all. So that might work on some woman that's very vain and she's looking at your appearance and your muscles and that kind of thing, but it's not going to work on a woman who realizes that's not the most important thing in life. Number 4, you care too much about your material goods and your wealth. Women do want to be provided for. We want to be secure and that kind of thing. But to me, being secure isn't just your financial status. It's also your ability to connect with me emotionally and to support me emotionally. If I am sick in bed, will you be kind enough and loving enough to clean the kitchen and take out the trash and take care of the kids? I'm looking for a mate for life. But you're over here, well, I'm not doing those things. I'm the man. I provide for the house. If you end up losing your job, I have to be the one that goes out and get a job. That's how we provide. So you have to be willing to do these kinds of things, but it doesn't sound like these men are. And I was going back and forth with this man, and I don't know, he kept saying this Cheyenne girl, and his name is Andrew Tate. He's like some kind of guru in the manosphere. He's an alpha male, I guess. I don't know. I'm still trying to understand the whole alpha male thing. To me, it just seems like, can I be a douchebag in the hardest way possible and in the quickest way possible? And so this man that I was going back and forth with, he just kept saying, oh, he was running circles around her. He was running circles around her. And I didn't understand why he kept bringing that up. I was like, but that's not something to boast about. Like, if your whole goal is just to see if you can dominate someone and run circles around them, that's something that I would not be attracted to. Number 5, I don't want anyone who's too domineering and is trying to run circles around me. Like, to me, that says this is a game. And if you're all about games, then what's the rest of the relationship going to be like? It's probably going to be games. And if you're wrong about something, you might not take responsibility. And so I'm going to be stuck trying to prove to you while you're wrong. But, you do that with children. You don't do that with grown men that you're in a relationship with. So there's that. And the funny thing about it is, I don't know, this guy was trying to dominate me in the same way Andrew Tate was trying to dominate Cheyenne. And, I had brought up, like, why do you keep calling me a beta? First off, I'm a woman. And second off, like, he said something about it being a Greek word. And I already knew this because I studied the Bible, and the Bible was written in Hebrew and in Greek. And so I said that. He completely ignored it. It was like I kept saying things, and he ignored it. And then I would have to repeat myself all the time. 6, I don't want to keep having to repeat myself with people. Did you not get it the first 3 times I said it? No, because it's not about getting it. It's about being domineering. And so I was trying to explain to him the letter or the word alpha and where it comes from. So alpha is actually the Greek word for it. In Hebrew, it's the aleph, which represents the letter A. It means first. It represents the number 1. But where it comes from is the Phoenician alphabet. Or I'm sorry, this is just funny to me. Where it comes from is the Phoenician letter A, the first A. And the reason why it has that shape is because it represents an ox head. And so the ox in Hebrew is supposed to represent a strong servant. And so I was like, well, let me teach you this. Like, most alpha males that claim to be alpha are not strong servants. You're domineering. You don't want to serve other people. You want to be served. And then I continued with baits and like where alphabet comes from. The second letter is bait, which is the Hebrew word for it. And I didn't explain this part. It represents like a tent, and the tent is like the house of God type deal, and it also represents the sun. So anyway, yeah. So I explained all these things about these Greek letters, and you know, it was just peculiar because it's like they can't own up to their shortcomings. And so instead of owning up to their shortcomings, what they would try to do is make you look like you don't know what you're talking about, even though I knew way more than what he did concerning Greek. Nobody wants to be involved with that. At that point, that's just being prideful, haughty, narcissistic, whatever you want to call it. That's not a man that you want. I don't actually think most women that have their head on straight are actually attracted to those kinds of guys. I don't even think that's what a real alpha man is, to be honest. I think that is just a narcissistic man that is trying to justify his shortcomings and trying to convince women that, you know, they are worth being worshipped. It's the same thing in the BHI community with a lot of the men. I won't say all of them, because I've been to several BHI groups, Black Hebrew Israelite groups, and there's some really decent men in them. And a lot of them end up coming out of those groups because they realize something's off. So, yeah, I mean, if you're wise, you would get far, far away from this kind of mentality if you really want a decent relationship with a woman, you know, if you're wise. I mean, this Andrew Tate guy literally had this girl he was in love with break up with him, and I can only imagine it's probably because he was treating this Cheyenne girl in the same way, in like a domineering fashion. You're right about everything. I'm always wrong. I won't own up to anything. I'm too smart. You know, nobody wants to be involved with that. And when he was asked what he did with his situation with his ex when she broke up with him, he basically responded in telling her to get the fuck out. Just I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at that she broke up with him because he was in love, but I'm laughing at the way he responded. Yet a lot of these men will go around calling other people betas and simps and all that kind of thing, saying they're too emotional. And I'm like, that is the sign that you are an emotionally broken man. These men are just so haughty, they will not take a mirror and look at themselves. And coming to the understanding that we are put on earth to serve God, and some of that is inclusive of being able to take a mirror, look at ourselves, and notice something is not reflecting the truth. Something is not reflecting God, because we're called to be made in the image of God. Of course, they don't have that understanding. But even if you don't have that understanding, at some point, life has to humble you, and you just have to look and be like, what's really going on? And so, this man, Andrew Tate, he apparently got arrested for sex trafficking women. I mean, honestly, a lot of police and that kind of thing are in on this stuff anyway, so. But since we do reap what we sow, there's probably going to be pretty bad things coming to these men in the manosphere that literally do not want to do the right thing, and they want to continually be bitter over what women did to them, which I understand your hurt and your pain. I was very much bitter towards men for their foul treatment of myself and the women around me, and just not having a father in my life. But when I came to God, I repented of that. I realized that there actually are decent men out here that will love me and take care of me and the women around me. And that part of the reason why I couldn't see it was because all the relationships that I had with the men that I was with. And because I was in such a broken state, I was attracting broken men. And don't get me wrong, broken men are going to be attracted to women that have straightened out their lives and their souls and their spirits more so. But the thing is, because you're in such a weak spot, you know, you succumb to the nonsense that they're trying to throw at you. And so I got in these relationships with these men, and all they did was tear me down. It was bad. And so I'm sorry. I'm just feeling bad for these men right now. Like, let me just apologize on behalf of women everywhere. And even the men in your life, because you might be acting this way because maybe you didn't have a father in your life and you didn't have that figure to say, this is how you treat men, this is how you think about yourself. You know, there's a lack of guidance around. And I just want to apologize on behalf of these people. If anyone was in your life that caused you to turn in this direction, I apologize, because they treated you wrong. They should have been there for you. They should have listened when you spoke. You know, they shouldn't have cheated on you. They shouldn't have divorced you and took you for your money. They shouldn't have used you for whatever it is that they did, you know, because these things aren't right. But one of the things that we learned when we come to God is not to repay evil for evil. And I'm having to relearn that again myself, because if somebody does evil to you and you do evil back, you're still going to feel the repercussions of it. Like, it sucks. That person deserves to be, you know, disciplined or punished or whatever the deal is. But, you know, the Father has shown me multiple times that he will deal with these people. I have seen it with my own eyes, like even spiritual ways in which these people are taken down because they didn't do right by God. What I want for these people of the manosphere, and what I want for all men, is just for them to have happy and healthy relationships with a woman. And I think when you get that, you're probably going to feel more fulfilled and more complete. And you're not going to feel like you have to keep bouncing around to this place and that place and this place, or like trying to seek the validation of a woman, you know, because I imagine some of this also has to do with not feeling of worth for women, from women. And you feel like you have to have all this money. And that might be true for some women. Maybe the woman that you want is, you know, some blonde hair supermodel with blue eyes and she's got big tatas and all that kind of stuff. But that might not be the best woman for you, because she's also just looking for a man with money. So sometimes you have to be realistic about your situation and say, do I want this woman on the left who's got everything that I want physically but will take me for my money if I get divorced? Or do I want this woman on the right who might not match everything physically, but, you know, she's not going to take me for my money. She's honest. She's upfront. You know, she's loyal. She wants to cook for me. She wants to clean for me. Like, you also have to adjust, you know, yourself in order to have something that's real. I mean, it's just very simple. And if there are any women watching this, like, I hope there's women watching this. It was really mainly for the women. I just want you guys to realize that you're worth more than what these men are saying. Adjust yourself, but you don't have to adjust yourself in the way that they're telling you to adjust yourself. You adjust yourself towards God, because God is ultimately going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. He's going to show you who a poor man is from a rich man. And I don't mean concerning money. I mean concerning his spiritual integrity. And that's going to be the most important for you, because he's going to be able to lead you in the right way. And he's going to be able to take care of you even emotionally. And when you have that, you're going to be able to raise your kids in a way in which they will literally be able to almost take care of themselves. Like, it's just going to be better for you in the long run. I know people think money is the end all be all, but that's just not true. You know, you can be a rich man with money and still be spiritually broke. And a lot of rich men are like this. The Messiah said it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And why that is because they don't want to let go of their riches. They don't want to let go of their status and that kind of thing. And so what happened to, for example, the Pharisees, they were rich men with status and that kind of thing. Jesus had to come and shut them down, you know. He had to come and shut him down. That's what happens to a lot of rich men. And guess what? We're entering the time of darkness. And when the Messiah comes, he is going to shut these people down. It's not going to matter how much money you had. It's not going to matter the car you drove. It's not going to matter your material goods, okay? He's going to shut it all down. Everybody's going to lose everything for the most part. And then what's going to be left is God and God alone. So you want to make sure you're with a man of God, a spiritual man, and you want to make sure that you're right with the Lord. It's the same thing with these men in the manosphere. This has become your God. You are more concerned about women that are worshiping you and not getting your life right with God. And if you got your life right with God, he will order all your steps. He will straighten your path. You will not shed a tear. You will be in peace. You will be in just the ultimate state of mind. It won't matter to you what these women or men think about you. And I know it matters because people get so caught up in the validation of people. But there's more out there. There's God. God has literally changed my life. All I did was think about what people thought about me. And the reason why they thought those things is because they were vain, they were haughty, they were prideful, you know. They let their pride go to their head, and so they started downing other people. So I pray this reaches one person out there at least, and that you guys consider this. Other than that, just be blessed. Repent, turn to the Most High. He loves you. He's waiting on you. He'll give you better than what you have now. So have a good one, guys. Bye.